Ever wondered if you can actually build real muscle and strength fast, even if you're starting at 60? I get that question all the time from clients who want results, not just slow progress. So today, I'm going to walk you through the exact plan I would use myself with the exercises, schedule, and pro tips you can copy step by step to get real results. So we're going to assume for this video that not only have I woken up 30 years older than I actually am, but I've also woken up with arthritis, I've got poor muscle mass already, and I've never done resistance training in the past. So I'm starting from a very low baseline. So would I go straight to the weight section of the local gym and start pumping iron? Well, the first thing I'd do might surprise you, and it wouldn't be resistance training. Let me show you exactly what I'd do first. The first thing I do is work on my mobility, because if I've got stiff joints and pain, I do much better in loosening up those stiff joints and relieving some of the pain before loading up my muscles. I'll get a much faster result if I did it this way around, but I wouldn't necessarily do it by stretching. Here's exactly what I'd do instead. So I'm going to show you all the best exercises I would include now, but before I do, I just need to make you aware they're not suitable for everyone. Get checked out before you try them and avoid the ones that cause you pain. So here are some examples of certain stiff areas and an exercise to treat each one. So if I found I had stiff ankles, I could do this, an ankle chair mobilization. So I take a chair, prop it up against the wall like this, and then just put your stiff ankle, the foot of your stiff ankle, on the chair seat here. And then all we're going to do is take your knee over your toes like this, grab the back of the chair and just pull inwards, hold for a second, and then relax. And we're just going in and out of stiffness very gently, never into pain, just into stiffness. And you might do 10 or 20 of these in a row. If I had a stiff knee, I would work on mobilizing it to try and get that movement better as quickly as possible. So I'd start off lying on my back like this and focus on my knee flexion. And to do that, you start off with your stiff knee, you take it nice and straight, and then you bend it up as much as you can, just to the edge of stiffness, and then let it go straight again. And you keep repeating that 20 or 30 times in a row, and something magic starts to happen the more you do it. You find that if your stiff point was there to begin with, after a few repetitions, it ends up here. And then after another few sets, it ends up here. And your knee stiffness can improve over time with repeated practice. So I'd start there, and then I'd look at some of the other areas of the body too. If I had a stiff back, I might work on the cat-cow mobilization to help to improve my spinal mobility. And that looks something like this. So on your mattress at home, you're going to go onto an all-fours position like this with your hands under your shoulders and knees underneath your hips. And you're going to alternate between these two positions. The first here, which I believe is the cow, is you drop into this U shape and lift your head. And then we're going to go into the cat, which is where we drop the head, lift the back like this, tuck the pelvis underneath us, and grow towards the ceiling. So you're in an inverted U. And then we're going to drop down into the normal U. So lift the head and lift the bottom, and then flip it into reverse. So tuck the pelvis, drop the head, and grow. And you're just going to repeat that. Again, 30 seconds worth of work a couple of times a day will make a massive difference to your back mobility. If I had stiff shoulders, I could do the wall lift, which would loosen up my shoulder joint and help me move more freely. And that looks like this. Turn and face the wall. You're going to put your stiff shoulder as high up on the wall as you can. So raise your hand as high up as you feel you can. And at the top, you're just going to keep your posture good, a slight lift off the wall like this, and then put the hand back on. And again, you can repeat that 10 or 20 times in a row on each side. By the way, those are just some of the mobility exercises you could do to improve your body, but I've got tons more in my Stronger for Life roadmap, which is a tailored PDF matched up to your exact strength and mobility level right now that we will send to you for free. It will show you exactly what to do to get to the next level of strength and mobility, and you can take it using the link in the description box below. Once I'd regained some of my mobility, my next step would be to start some functional resistance training. And by functional, I just mean doing the things we do in everyday life. The first functional movement I'd work on is definitely one of my favorites, and that's the sit to stand, because we do it so many times every day. And if you're not good at it, that means you're going to struggle getting off the toilet, getting out of a car, or just getting down to sit at the dinner table. So here is what it looks like, and this is something I'd work on, you know, in the first couple of weeks, really, if I was doing this program for real. So for this, you're going to sit on the edge of a chair. You want your feet flat on the floor, hands out the way, and then take nose over toes and come up, and then practice very slowly dropping yourself back down to the chair. So slow on the way down, and land like a feather. So no sound from the chair, no creaks, no groans. You're just going to keep repeating this probably 5 or 10 times in a row. And what I say to people to do for this is, if they're really serious about improving their mobility, is practice this movement 5 times every time you do a natural up and down from a chair. So when you finish dinner, do 5. Or when you go and sit in the car, just quickly do 5 before you get going. These kinds of things can make a massive difference to mobility over time, and that is what I'd start with. Let's have a look at the second exercise I do now. The next strengthening exercise I might do is a bag or box lift. And this is a really nice way to build up practical strength for picking things up off the ground. So you want a nice heavy bag or a box filled up with some stuff on the floor, something you know you can handle, but it should still feel like a small challenge. You're going to stand facing it, take your feet nice and wide, bend your hips and your knees, grab the thing, and then pick it up like this. Keep a nice upright posture, stick your bottom out, bend your knees, and put it back down. And then you just keep repeating like this. You can either put it down and then stand up again, or you can keep doing it like this. So you just take it down and touch, and then back up, more like a traditional deadlift. And this will build up strength in your back, in your legs, and all over your body. The next thing I might do to build functional strength is a wall press, and this will help you build up the strength in your pushing muscles, your chest, and your triceps at the back of the arm. So you just need a wall like this. You're going to put 2 hands on the wall, take a couple of steps back, and then just rise up onto your toes. Keep a nice straight posture, and then bend, touch your nose, and then come back out. And you're just going to keep going until you start to get some fatigue in your chest and the backs of the arms. If you can do 3 sets of each of those a few times a week, it will make a massive difference to your functional strength. Then to progress, the next thing I'd need to do is add load, either through resistance bands or weights. Here's exactly some of the things I would do next. So now we want to make things tougher, and this is where I'd start more classic resistance training to finally build up that real strength and muscle mass. So for this, I'd need some equipment, probably dumbbells or barbells. You can just use things lying around the house. If you don't have those, that will work just as well, but it's just more difficult to know how much weight you're lifting. So I'm going to show you the next few exercises using exercise equipment. I'm going to use a dumbbell and show you the goblet squat first, which is one of the key exercises I'd use to rebuild strength. So I'd take a dumbbell, hold it like this into the chest, like this, nice wide stance, and then stick the bottom out, bend the knees and sink down into a squat, and then come back up. So you go down, hold, and back up like this. And again, keep going until you start to feel that fatigue and resistance in your quads and your glutes, ideally between 10 and 20 repetitions. If I could do more than 20, this needs to be heavier. If I can't do 10, I'd probably make it a bit lighter. 3 sets of each of these exercises a couple of times a week will make a big difference. Let's have a look at exercise number 2. Exercise number 2 that I do to build strength is the Romanian deadlift. And we've worked on picking something up off the floor, which is great, but now we're going to just systematize the progress here by adding in some resistance. So this is what I do. 2 dumbbells or a barbell, bend down and pick them up and rest them just on the fronts of the legs. You're going to keep a nice straight spine, stick your bottom out, and just slide those dumbbells down the front of the legs without bending your knees. So you want just a very slight bend in the knees all the way down, and then bring them back up. So that angle remains constant. It doesn't change. So that's how this differs from the traditional deadlift. And again, once you get down to here, you'll feel a stretch in your hamstrings, then come back up, and you want to keep repeating until you start to feel that working ache in the muscles. Once I'd got that working ache, I would stop, have a 1 minute break, repeat 3 times over, and that would give me a really nice strength in my legs and in my back. Let's have a look at the next exercise. The final exercise I'm going to demonstrate today to help you build more strength is the overhead press. And this is definitely one of the ones I would lean on if I was 60 and trying to get stronger. So start on a chair where you can come away from the backrest. You need your 2 dumbbells again, so rest them on your knees like this, and then take them safely up to this height one at a time. So this is your starting position, and from this position, you're just going to push those dumbbells up overhead and then slowly let them come back down like this. So push up and bring them together and then slowly back down. And this is working your deltoids, your rotator cuff, and the triceps at the back of the arm. So again, you want to choose a weight that you can do somewhere between 10 and 20 repetitions. Do 3 sets of that with a 1 minute break in between. A few times a week. It's going to make a massive, massive difference. So that's the exact plan I would use to improve my muscle and strength over time and how I would progress. So I hope that's made sense. If it has, drop a comment below and let us know. If you want a plan where it shows you exactly how to improve your strength and mobility, take our Stronger for Life roadmap, which you can find in the description box. And there's another video on the screen right now to help you build even more muscle and strength if you're over 50. So click on that if you're interested, and I'll see you again on the next one.